Hello, everyone. This is Yonks with REtoken, the real estate DAO, and this is shaping up to be a REtoken relaunch month. And super excited. This is literally the very first dev team call that DSign is going to be hosting and laying some foundation here so that we can have an amazing 2022. So the first thing I got to ask here to kick this off is I'm looking forward to hearing the story about the POAP that you have created for us. So over to you, DSign.
Oh yeah, let me find it. I gotta go over to the other board real quick. Shoot, which board is it? I don't know how to navigate this very well. Here it is. Hello team, I'm DSign. I will be serving as our tech lead for now. Can I zoom in on this more? Aha, here it is. This is the limited edition POAP that you all be receiving for attending today. I thought we needed a very special POAP to landmark this occasion. And so I used my developer skills and I wielded paint with mastery and precision to whip up this one-of-a-kind POAP to commemorate this occasion. Very excited about this.
Thank you, DSign.
It will definitely add a little bit more flair to the current very boring REtoken POAPs that we've got, because it's about time that we need a relaunch on the REtoken POAP too, but that's another story. So looking forward to adding this one to our collection. And thank you, Amy, and Dax for the POAP and the distribution there via the Bankless DAO DGen bots. So looking forward to many more POAPs here. So back over to you, DSign.
Yeah, I don't want to see any of these on OpenSea. All right, these are your guys's. I know that they're going to be super valuable one day, but just hold on to them. All right. Okay, so just as far as like what we're going to be doing on the dev team, I thought that our role, like in the bigger picture, eventually we'll have to write the Solidity contracts and we'll be managing all of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes in the network, but we're not quite at that point yet. And I think this is actually a good opportunity for us to kind of start tackling some easier issues that are still causing pain within the organization and just like some gnashing of teeth. But once we'll be able to go through these easier issues and kind of narrow our workflow down to a process that we really like. And I've went ahead and made this new Trello board with sort of my personal workflow. And I don't know if this will end up being the dev team's workflow, but I think it's a good starting off point. Is there any questions before I kind of move on to the workflow with regards to like what the dev team will actually be doing? Going once.
We're listening. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So this first list here is kind of where I start off all of my tasks. I'll go ahead and put in kind of the name and then just a brief description of it. And then we have the second list here, and this is Spike. I don't know where the name comes from. It's just something that I was taught, and the usage of this list is once you have something in Spike, you're just information gathering. So right here, I added this comment for this card, which is tailored Discord to DAO needs. The description just kind of says like, hey, we have too many notifications that are being sent out. Discord needs to go through all of these. We need to outfit Discord to have these specific role configurations so that people are only getting notifications for things that they want. And I didn't add it to the description yet, so this is a good opportunity to edit this. Discord, the POAP distribution is also handled by DGen, which is a Discord bot. So I'm going to add POAP management to this kind of card here. And you can see below that I added this comment. I messaged Amy in a private thread for information on DGen bot. This is just kind of, I've put it up here. So in case I get hit by a truck tomorrow and somebody needs to see exactly where I left off on this task, they know that they can just go to Amy for the information that I had regarding whatever task we were working on. After I've gathered all of the information I need, I move it from Spike to in progress. And this is me doing any actual implementation work, like If there's a bot that needs to be set up, I would move the card into in progress before I started working on the bot. If I'm coding, same thing. And then after I've completed all of the actual work that needs to be done, I move it to in review. And in review is kind of serving two purposes. First, I need somebody else on my team to review the development work that I've completed. One, so that somebody else on the team definitely understands what I'm doing, but also so that I can make sure whatever I've done is easily transferable to somebody else. And what I would like to see from everybody before we move something from in review to complete is attaching either a screenshot or a video kind of detailing like whatever work you've done. So for example, with this tailored Discord to DAO needs, one of the subtasks that are kind of included in that is getting the POAP distribution working. So one of the things that I would want to attach to it when I move the card from in review to complete is either a video or a screenshot of me actually taking a distribution list and moving that through the degen bot and then seeing where the POAPs are distributed. Are there any questions about the workflow that we have set up here?
No, I think that's great. Is that something that you would want to do on a live stream to kind of document that, or and kind of make content around that, or just like an internal?
We could do an example right now, I guess.
Well, one of the things on the Trello is I'm actually advocating for, like, Tyler just hosted the Trello 101. I'm thinking like a Trello 102 here in a couple weeks after we get more because some people are super new to Trello, and then once people start using it for actually doing some tasks and bounties, and that's one of the other things that we can really start thinking about too, and started just getting some very rudimentary stuff on the other public Trello board, and then also as far as Discord with bounties. But and I don't know if we want to just, because like one of the other things too related to the dev team is, like, I don't know what frequency that you're going to have like the dev team call, or are you thinking weekly, or is that going to kind of like let that play out, or what were your initial thoughts on that, Design?
Yeah, my hope is to establish a routine where we can get cards moving on a weekly basis. Yeah, I want to do.
Gotcha.
I kind of like what you were thinking with the team captain, like 1 week chunks and 4 week chunks at a time. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things too that we can talk more about during the core team call tomorrow, is this idea of team captains, and like all of this stuff is just kind of like a work in progress. I mean, like, you know, you look at the Google Calendar for REtoken last week and it looks very, very different this week. And I have absolutely no expectations that everybody is needed or expected to participate. And that's one of the things too, during the course of this relaunch month, that I'm really hoping that we can define. Like, if you go to the Teams page or the Teams docs on our Git book, like that's one of the things that us as the team captains really work on needing to get some definition here within this relaunch month as well. So, and then like, and again, as far as like the team captain syncing up on the core call, and again, I don't have any expectations that everybody's going to make every core team call. And like one of the things that we spoke about a week or two ago, or, you know, as far as like defining, and there were some side conversations in the core team chat as far as really, and that's something that I think that we collectively need to define, because it's still a question mark. Like, I mean, we might go through this exercise and like here during this relaunch period, we're like, hey, we don't really need the teams that we've got. And maybe this is a team that we don't have identified that we need. So just be mindful of that. But I'm gonna let you get back on the track here, D-Sign. So I just wanted to throw in that. Thank you, everybody. I'm enjoying the show here, so I'm gonna keep on watching.
All right, so oh, was there somebody else? Did I just hear somebody else on mute?
I would say great work, Design. I appreciate it. You really like kind of nailed down a lot of the processes that are going to be involved in like workflow and everything like that. And I do think that like one stand-up, I like personally like kind of the DevOpsy workflow, like one stand-up meeting a week, and then like for like a dev team, and then like on a 4-month or a 4-week chunk for like different types of sprints. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm hoping that gives us like a good mix of flexibility, but also allow us to check in with each other. And also on the meetings too, like feel free to definitely, if we need sidebar conversations or side meetings in between, like it's not a hard limit. You can definitely set up meetings with individuals.
Hi, Design. I was going to ask you a quick question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So you are leading the dev team, as I understand. So what sort of security measures and what sort of features would you be including within the code? So is it going to be ERC20 token, or would you be including features such as could be automated market maker within the features, or in terms of security features, if someone pumps and dumps, what would be the mechanism for to control that situations? So if someone, let's just say you have 100,000 tokens in the market, but if someone bought 50,000 tokens, so by default, they will be majority shareholders. And if they dump it, the coin goes to really, at the rock bottom. So what other mechanism would you be implementing within the code to make sure that if someone tries to dump huge amount of token just to bring at the bottom, 30% will be charged, goes back to the pools, whatever liquidity, whoever added the liquidity will be distributed to all the people. So you do not give incentive. What other measures to incentivize pumping and dumping, sort of, because if it is gonna trade in the market, whether it's DeFi zone or in the centralized exchanges, the features can be included and coded within the codes. And if so, what are the details? Would you be able to give us some sort of ideas?
Design.
Also,
here, hold on. Let me just, go ahead, Michael.
Who was going to ask questions? Michael, you want to go?
I was going to say I can answer some of that if Design would like.
Oh, I was just going to say before we answer the question, I don't know if it's necessarily a question that we can answer yet, just because we don't really have we can talk about how to theoretically set up a liquidity pool to avoid these, how to avoid impermanent gain and loss and stuff like that, but we don't really have the tokenomics set up to have a granular discussion about that.
Hey guys, we're going to be following. So first of all, we don't have any immediate plans for liquidity, so we can address that later. And second, we're planning on everything that will be liquid following U.S. securities laws. So a lot of the pump and dump and all that stuff is already addressed in U.S. securities laws. So I would like us to I think it's an important conversation, but let's table that until we get into liquidity at some future date, because the tokenomics for a security that you can't buy and sell right now, it's
and the liquidity conversations will be facilitated with the combination of the registered SEC FINRA broker dealer in combination with the registered transfer agent, because the SEC here in the US doesn't recognize the public blockchain. So those conversations haven't even transpired. So, and one of the other things too is that we've already roadmapped, unless something substantially changes, we've already roadmapped via the REtoken improvement proposal number 5 to do a regulation crowdfunding token offering, security token offering for REtoken. So the tokenomics conversations, we'll be having, one of the things looking at putting on the calendar for next Friday is an AMA with a potential solutions partner that we're starting to have some conversations with. So we'll talk about that during the core team call tomorrow. But as far as I really think that Design is on the right track as far as really identifying what the pain points are, and I will be greatly appreciated because a lot of those pain points are resting solely on my shoulders. And one of the points that Blackfire brought up the other day was the REtoken rewards distribution. So using the mechanisms that we've already got in place, which is some very rudimentary tokenomics. I mean, like the only way to acquire REtoken right now is to earn it by participating in events. And then we like going back to, and if you could real quick, DSign, switch to the REtoken public board. And this is one of the things just from a workflow standpoint that we can start thinking about, and this will give an opportunity for everybody to think about this between now and the core team call tomorrow if you are planning on participating. But one of the workflow things on the bounty board, and I added a few more of these. I haven't even been with all the stuff going on here this weekend, haven't been able to even put a Discord message out, but I did create several bounty cards on the top of that tasks to earn REtoken. And where I was going with that is I would like to have more autonomy amongst the team captains where we can kind of really identify and get more creative, because like the way that it's been working right now is it seems like I'm really, and there's been like DSign put forward his proposal, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more ways, like things that we can do that people think that we need to have done that we can reward REtoken for. So that's kind of the thoughts that I think that that's a function that should be reserved and capable of being done by the team captains. And one of the things did create a chat channel for the team captains to kind of make it easier for those people to have team captain related conversations during that round. And again, if that 4 weeks doesn't seem to make sense, you know, we're also implementing Coordinate. We've got our second implementation of Coordinate call tomorrow, which will end our first epoch. So looking forward to kind of like getting everybody on the same page as far as that goes. But so anyway, that was the thought as far as some additional workflow regarding some bounties too. And I think I spoke very briefly about that a second ago, but back to you, DSign.
Hey, Michael, did you have your hand raised still?
I actually need to put that down. That was for the thing, the security. But I was just going to repeat I was just going to say exactly what Tyler said of how it was kind of just like out of scope for where we're currently at. And then a lot of it with the liquidity thing would be not even unless we were running an exchange or a DEX service, it wouldn't really be our responsibility per se. Yeah, because really would be nothing that we could do to like stop somebody from trying to sell the coins they have, unless for like investors, if we were selling REtoken, if we end up selling it in bulk to investors, then maybe we would possibly want to have some type of lockup period before they could sell, but that's about as far as I think we could do with what we got.
There was the question wasn't specific towards the liquidity, rather it was the features. What features are we including within the token coding? So that was one of the features for an example, rather not. I didn't specifically ask the question for liquidity. Rather the features, what sort of features are we including to make sure the safety and security has been ensured within the code? Plus, what network would you be using for this to deploy the contracts? So is it going to be on Ethereum? Is it going to be on Zcash coming up? Which is going to be very
to go back
cheap.
to what I said earlier. It's not going to be us that's going to be creating the token. We're going to be working with a registered broker dealer along with a transfer agent, and those conversations haven't unfolded yet. So it's not been determined. I mean, if I had to pick today, like if I could wave a magic wand, I would say a Polygon ERC 3643 token would be the most ideal, because that's got a lot of the security token benefits. And I don't even know if that Ethereum proposal is finalized yet. But again, we haven't had the conversations, because even if I could wave that magic wand, that doesn't mean that the broker dealer that will be doing the issuance of our security token, or the transfer agent would be able to support that technology within their infrastructure. So those are, it's going to be like multiple teams, not just the REtoken team, that'll be in those conversations over the coming months. And that's something that we haven't even, like, those conversations are super preliminary, and that's like why we're having the we're taking a very slow path, and we're laying a very solid foundation here, and with what we're doing and the approach that we're taking on the security token aspect of it. And I mean, this isn't like other blockchain projects. I don't even know if there's another crypto project that has done a regulation crowdfunding security token offering that's a DAO. I know that there are other security tokens, but it's so early to this space yet, and the approach that we're taking as far as being a crypto project is very different as well. So, but I'm gonna turn the meeting back over to you, DeSign.
And Blackfire, I will say, like, we can't really have a whole lot of conversations about the tokenomics and how it would actually be, just for, all the reasons that was already discussed. But I am always down to, like, on the side, theory craft some REtoken economics, some what ifs, because I think there is the potential to potentially outfit these security tokens with more utility. I mean, that depends on what kind of regulations are around, and we'll have to wait to see what all constrains us. But I think that we can certainly get creative, right? That's what constraints make you do. And I think that we can find out some utility for these security tokens outside of their normal use case, and we might be able to build some kind of ecosystem around it. But that would all be theory crafting, and on the side, I don't know if we're not really ready to take that on from the DAO point just yet. See here, oops, not that one.
So do you have any timeline of create a framework at least to see? I mean, I understand there's a lot of process needs to be done, a lot of paperwork needs to be done, and a lot of information are in the process. But what are the timeline are we looking at in terms of getting started of all this? So is it going to be, let's just say, hypothetical?
Hey Blackfire, we are talking to broker dealers right now they have to meet several different standards, and it's just tough to do. So it's something that we are working on right now, but step one is to find a broker dealer that meets our needs. After we have a broker dealer, we're probably going to be following their lead on compliance of what we have to do versus making up a bunch of stuff that we want to do and then realizing that their stuff is totally different. So we need to get the legal framework first, and then see what we feel like they're missing, and then what we want to have on top of that. So those conversations are happening right now. You and I can connect offline and kind of go into more detail, but the first step is we have to find a broker dealer that can issue our securities tokens. Otherwise, none of this stuff matters.
And it's also important to keep in mind too, because there's going to be multiple tokens involved. So like REtoken, that reflects the community that we're building, like the people that are participating today are earning REtoken. We are a tokenized Web3 community. It's social tokens. We have our token policy all over the place. If you want to read our token policy, we do have on our roadmap, as far as from a timeline standpoint, to do the regulation crowdfunding offering in Q3 of 2022. And that's, I saw you had a card here for create a roadmap. I would actually encourage that we just stick to the existing public roadmap that we have. And then, like, if we want to add things to that, then go through some type of a process. And I think the last couple of times that we've added a new item to our roadmap, it's gone through our normal DAO governance process. So But the one of the other things too that I was thinking of that might be worthwhile, since we're spending some more efforts on Trello, there's quite a bit of automation that can occur, and that's not even something that have looked at, or even potentially a Discord integration, as far as like, you know, if there's a new card that's created or some type of sync, or just and then like I think one of the power ups that I was talking about is like there might be a couple for GitHub where, you know, like that there might be some type of workflow that could benefit there as well. Cause like, and I think I brought up SourceCred, because SourceCred is another tool that we've talked about in the past. And I don't know if you wanted to chime in, Blurs, as far as, or does anybody else have any experience on the with SourceCred right now?
I don't know what that is.
So
SourceCred?
yeah, sourcecred.io. I'll throw a link in the Zoom chat here. It's because that's been one of my pain points, and that's one of the reasons like that we being me is behind on the REtoken airdrops, is that the process that we have right now for rewards distribution is painful. And like so the more that we can do to use tools to automate that, the easier it will be for us to scale to hundreds or thousands of people on a global basis within our community.
Is this tool kind of taking the same role as Coordinate?
No, I think that this one is a much more like knobs that you can turn type of a tool. And I don't know if you've joined the Token Engineering Commons Discord, Design. You like to get into some of the creative tokenomics, and like one of the tokenomics conversations that we had. So we've talked mostly about the token for the community here. That's one thing that's going to be have a token, but we also have a token for Tokentown DAO and Tokentown Colorado. And then like one of the biggest opportunities, and this is something that can be fulfilled through our ambassadors program, is this, and this is something that we've talked a little bit about during our light paper, white paper conversations too, that resonates very deeply with most of the people that are attracted to our community right now. Is one of the problems, global problem, is the affordable housing crisis. And one of the opportunities that we have with that is that we can be ambassadors and collectively work on this we biddle equitable, affordable housing for everyone. And that's something that I think that we should potentially add. I can't remember. I think I've actually got that proposal started in the Discord for some conversation, but that's something that and the type of tokenomics there, to go back to the original thought, is that every property, every house that we're going to be tokenizing could potentially have different tokenomics. Now, that being said, it's obvious that we want to get some type of routine type of template, like Blurs and I were having some side conversations about a new platform that showed up on his radar that's a real estate tokenization platform, lofty.ai. And that's one that they have a very consistent investor experience where and they're an Algorand based platform. And I was pleasantly surprised how well that they had their user experience. So if you want to acquire and you're a accredited investor, then I would highly encourage you to go through lofty.ai, pick up a token, $50. And, you know, that's so, but where I was going with that is we're really wanting to create like a shared equity appreciation model. And I'm suspecting that we could get some pretty creative tokenomics, because it might, like for a property, we might not want to just do like one basic token. We might want to do a debt token or, you know, a security, or so that's, you know, those conversations.
Hey,
I think that
hey guys, we're really on track. Hey Jason, we're getting pretty off track with Dev. Can we?
No, yeah, and if you want to put the SourceCred thing on the conversation, that's again one that we've kind of looked at. But the pain point was the rewards distribution.
Yeah, so as far as dev work goes, I'm just gonna open it up right now. I've went ahead and started working on this group, or this task, I mean. Does anybody wants to assign something to themselves? Any volunteers?
Hey, Design, can you go through the tasks and kind of tell people what you're looking for? And also, can you make your screen a lot bigger, maybe 300%?
How is this? Is this better?
Can everybody see that?
Beautiful design.
Nice.
Yeah, I can definitely see that a lot better now. Thanks.
All right, so this first task that we have is setting up a welcome page on our Discord. So one of the complaints that we've been getting a lot recently is that everybody's getting bombarded by their Discord notifications. So we have this, we want to set up this onboarding welcome page where they can kind of select their reactions. And I don't know if you, Tyler, do you have a good example of one? Because I meant to pull up an example beforehand, but I couldn't find one.
So I've seen a few different ones. My baby's kind of fussing right now, so I can't do the screen share. But so I've seen a few different examples. One example is where somebody says you have to accept the rules and then tag. It's usually a role. Like in Creator DAO, it's they've got two groups of people. They've got people that actually do stuff and can see their private client stuff, and then just kind of everybody else that can just see the stuff that's not private. So they're going through a reboot too, where they're saying, we just used to say anybody that wants to be a creator can be a creator, and then they realized that a bunch of people were just trying to get their private stuff and weren't adding any value. So that was one example of, we could say, and we're not quite there yet, but we can say, we can have a role for if you hold REtoken and one if you don't, or we can have a rules bot that says before you come in, you have to do this. And we can also automate some of the things that say, like I think the East Denver server says you have to join something. I don't know if it's the join bot or Collabland. I'm not sure which bot it is. But there are a few different things. When I don't know if there's a better name for it, but kind of like a flip open server where it says if you come in, you can be in the server, but you actually have to take another action to get all the channels. And it might be, here are the different channels, click a check mark or a flag or a whatever icon if you want these channels. So if there's, I think part of the overload is, I think if we organized everything into research, people like, I don't care about research or news. I don't want any of that stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we could just block off entire groups of channels, and then people wouldn't feel like they were constantly getting overloaded.
Yeah, and that's the aim, is to try and make it so that anybody that's on the Discord only gets the stuff that they care about.
We could, and I don't know if we want to, and this will really be kind of hand in hand with the ambassador program of, we could start assigning groups of channels and saying, you just don't see everything by default. The ambassador sees different stuff than the dev team sees. Not everybody, it's gonna, as you guys build out the dev team, I think a lot of the stuff could potentially get pretty technical. And as you're notifying people who are on that, I think those are a lot of channels that I think the general public probably doesn't need to see because they don't understand and they don't care.
Yeah.
So we could just say, we could just do privileges for which teams you're on, and or we could say, this is what the ReToken holders can see and this is what they can't see. And I don't know if that would kind of scare people off, being like, oh, the server doesn't have anything going on because they can't see it. But I DM every single person that comes in and say, this is how we're organized, and this is how you earn ReToken. And if they don't want to do it, then they probably aren't getting anything anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Okay, so there's a lot of decisions to be made on this one, a lot of conversations to be had. It sounds like you can, the cool thing about this opportunity that we have right now is like, we can really set everything up to be exactly as we want it to be. So if you take this card, don't worry about something necessarily being set in stone, because we can still tweak it down the line if we don't like how it's set up initially.
And we did implement like a couple weeks ago. I can't remember what it was, or maybe a month ago, the welcome screen or something like that. And that's something I don't know. We do have some stats on that, and it's not something that we've really looked at. There's been quite a few changes here to Discord just within the last week, but I think that, and I've been meaning to set up a test account where I could use a laptop or something else to kind of go through what it looks like for a new person joining. One of the other things too that we don't have identified here is, and we've absolutely had this conversation before, is setting up an Airtable intake form where, because one of the things that we've all collectively agreed is to make it a higher touch and where we're collecting more information before we even and Daoists has a good example of that, and they pull that into Airtable, and Airtable I think is really a solid tool that can provide the scalability as far as being basically our backend database for KYC, know your community in this case. And I'll send you because we do have we do have a REtoken Airtable account, but there's been absolutely nothing done with it. And there's a lot of opportunity too, like at the tail end of this, Tyler's going to be hosting the Mighty Launch team conversation, and Airtable is a tool that integrates very easily within Mighty Networks. Zapier is another one as far as from an automation tool that Tyler has used in the past that integrates with Mighty Networks and other tools. So I don't know if you've used Zapier before, but it's used quite a bit for doing automation.
Integromat's another one, which is free for a lot of tasks. Zapier, I think, it's pay to play for any level, but I could be wrong. No, it actually has a free tier. Never mind.
It has a free tier. I think we weren't doing that many automations, and I think we still went over and bumped into, I think it's like 20 or 25 bucks a month or something like that.
I would say too, just depending on what it is you guys need, like my professional industry job is like DevOps automation and development and security operations automation. So depending on what it is and what you guys are looking for, to build out solutions for.
That'd be fantastic. Yes, we would absolutely love that. So just to give you guys an example, and I don't know if this really fits with DevOps or not, but something that we were doing in our previous Mighty Network, Jason and I actually met Design playing a game that we all used to play. And so we built this community for this game. And so there were a lot of guys who would make videos. And so we were pulling stuff in from their YouTube channel. And then it was creating a Mighty Network article, and then it was tweeting out and posting on our Facebook page. So if you want to put in stuff like that, I'm sure that's not super hard to do. If that's what you want to do, that would be wonderful.
Want to go over these other tasks real quick? See if anybody wants to pick them up. All right, so we have this other task right here, which is automate the REtoken event lifecycle. So right now, to set up a REtoken event, there's a lot of different steps that happen. And honestly, I don't even know about all of them because Jason set up this meeting for me. But if we go over to the public board and we go to this event, I know that he has a list of all of the steps. Oops, don't need this part.
Yeah, and probably the ones that is the most accurate, because I think I modified this one to that was accurate to this particular event, but the one for the core team call, I think is, and I can't remember it, but we can work on those. But the steps are pretty well broken out on these recent Trello cards.
Yeah, so we can move these steps over to the other card, and I don't think it would be realistic to automate the whole thing, but we can certainly make this process at least standardized at the very least, so that whoever is setting it up, it doesn't have to be Yonks every time setting up the meeting for whoever it is. So
I think you'd be surprised as far as like how much stuff, especially with Zoom. I mean, there's tons of Zoom integrations that exist already. And to Blur's point, he brought up, I think, Integromat, and that was one that definitely showed up on some preliminary stuff with Zoom, specifically on some workflow automation. But these are all tools that are heavily used in the enterprise for quite some time, especially that amplified tenfold, especially with Zoom here in the last 2 years with the pandemic.
So we have that one, and then the next task that we have available is to get started on the REtoken DAO website. So this I think showcases like why I like having the spike step right here. So obviously, like, this is a huge task in and of itself. It could have its own board if we wanted to give it that. This, I think, should be moved into a spike, and then whoever takes it, there will be multiple cards that come out of this one. So that's another thing, is you might take something into a spike, do a bunch of information, and you have all of your research down here, and then you get to the point where you realize this is not just something I can move into in progress and finish it within a week. Like, this is going to be a lot, and it will basically, this task will become its own project with its own tasks underneath it. So once you get to that point, you would just create some more to-do cards over here, and then this could go into in review, and then the outcome would just be, hey, I added these cards to the to-do list now. Somebody else would review that and then move it into complete.
Dude, I love the workflow. Thank you so much, Design.
Yeah, this is great. One of the things that I'm not a web designer, no chops in that at all, but I wanted to sign up for the web team. If I can have a partner who's a designer and whatever, I would love to like write copy and provide pictures and any of the content stuff I would love to help with. I just don't have any ability to actually get it onto a website. So if somebody's got that skill set, maybe we can partner up.
Yeah, and that will definitely need non-technical users for creating and doing most of these things, honestly, like especially these things that will be used by non-techie people. For all the developers on the team, like, that's accessibility is something that we should definitely focus on. And I think that's kind of like why I like the crypto community as a whole, is just onboarding everybody it seems like such a key focus of this community.
I definitely agree. Yeah. Quick question, Design. As far as like when we create these tasks and stuff, I was actually just talking to another group that I've been working with over the last couple of weeks, or actually it was like for a contract job. But basically, like in the DAO space in general, I kind of feel like with like, especially like the way the work is being done in DAOs is kind of almost immature in the point that, like, for example, I was doing a contract job or like a bounty, so to speak, for Harmony like a week or two ago. And basically, like, what ended up happening is kind of why you set up the spike thing, where basically you end up where you kind of realize where something's going to take a lot more research than anticipated, and there's a lot more to do than was originally anticipated. I was just kind of going to suggest that maybe we kind of like, we try to, like, as you are like basically the people that set up any of these cards, try to do an estimation of how much time it will take to complete, and then that way we can kind of gauge different things off of that. And then if we want to, like, in the future, like, reward, like, say, more REtoken for specific tasks than others that require more work, we can do so based off of like a time and the time it will take to the estimated time to complete. And then that way we set up like an initial scope of like what each activity is going to take. And then in the future, we could even have like automated tools and stuff, like collect data off of how long different tasks and different sections are going to take, blah, 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 and stuff like that. I don't know if we discussed something like that already and I missed it though.
Yeah, that's a good idea. No, that's a good idea. Having some kind of like point or timing system. I'm sure that there's a power up with Trello that allows for that, because that's pretty basic, like Jira thing too.
Yeah, that's actually kind of where I was like thinking the example from is kind of like currently what we have in Jira. And then like the best would be, especially for like the dev team side of things, I feel, is if in the future we could basically, I believe there might be tooling coming out, or if anything, we could probably get a decent amount of funding for building out a tooling like this, but basically like a GitHub action that where we could create a bounty, and if someone committed a bounty to our repository, like work for a bounty to our repository or work for any of our tasks to a repository, we could essentially automate the distribution of the REtoken if like say their code passes a build or passes test requirements that we could pre-write beforehand. This is just something that I was thinking for in general in the DAO space, but it would be kind of applicable to what we're doing here with the dev team in the future.
One of the opportunities that I think that we have too is to kind of do something that I don't think has been done a whole lot yet within the crypto space, because I don't know how many other DAOs are hosting events in the manner that we are, as far as not using Discord and then being intentional about live streaming to multiple different platforms. And so the opportunity of like working with Bankless DAO on their degen bot for leveling up the degen bot, where it can do some of the Zoom or Airtable data collection stuff. And like Tyler and I and Amy just came from a Clubhouse call, and I know Clubhouse has a very open API system. I think that there may be some stuff with degen with Twitter Spaces, but the more that we can collaborate with other DAOs and then also kind of like amplify and really level up the like just delve deeper into like this format that we're using here, because if you didn't know, YouTube is the second top search engine on the internet. And I was just looking, like if you do a search for DAO and real estate, like our community calls playlist comes up like on the top 4 search there on YouTube. And the opportunity to just refine that and again make it easier, because I mean, if I had to like wave my magical wand from an automation standpoint, when the Zoom event was created, then everything else happens, including even making the Trello card and everything else that's like all manual right now. Because at the end of the day, most of it's just templated and then you just change a few things. I mean, I think that became a lot more apparent to Blurs when he was on the Trello 101 call, and you know, he copied a few things and boom, there was his Trello card. So I think if go ahead, Tyler.
Hey, sorry to interrupt you. Hey, Michael, just how complicated is that if Jason sets up a Zoom event and then it goes to Trello and a YouTube event gets set up and Sesh and, you know, everything else? I mean, I feel like if somebody's not technical, I'm like, blah, 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 magic. And then it just happens. Like, how complicated is that actual completion?
You're talking straight like on how difficult it would be to basically automate the distribution of the streamed content.
No, that's being done.
To distribute the setup of the thing. So Jason sets up a Zoom event, and then we want to populate a Trello card off a template, and we want to set up a YouTube off a template, and we want to basically in a Sesh for people to RSVP. Basically, like everything we're doing manually right now. How complicated is that to say Zoom and then ABCDE all happens right after that?
I gotta be the timekeeper here. I did apologies for not doing a better job being the timekeeper. It's already at 2:00 on the hour, and your call's kicking off like literally right now on another Zoom meeting that we've got to be live in 10 minutes for that one. Do you want to do like a 2 or 3 minute wrap up, and then whoever's going to participate in the Mighty Launch team, then we can swing over to that Zoom.
Sounds good. And then Tyler, I'll answer your question. I'll DM you in Discord or post it. I'll DM you in Discord, and then we can post it wherever in Discord. But basically, it would be a little bit of research on what. I mean, there might be tooling already available. I'd first check that, but the second thing would be we would need to figure out just the API calls, and then set up a few scripts. I could set up a few scripts that would essentially do that. So it
That'd
would be a
awesome.
little bit of work, but it's not like extremely complicated.
That would be so helpful. So thanks for doing that. Yeah, let's connect on that. By the way, I want to send out a huge thank you and shout out to Julie. She gave us like a half dozen server boosts, so that put us up into tier 3, which gave us all these private threads, which we didn't have access to before. So thanks, Julie. You're fantastic. Really appreciate you on that. And so Michael and everybody else, we've been adding in private threads instead of group DMs so that people that participate can just do that. So anyway, thanks, Julie. And I'm going to go ahead and hop off here and get ready for the Mighty Launch call. If you guys want to join me, we'll see you in 10. Thanks.
If any devs want work, just message me. Don't be shy. Have a good one, y'all.
Thanks for
So,
hosting today, Design.
just a quick question. How many devs do we have working on the project currently or intending to work on the project?
This is the first dev team call that has been hosted.
Right now, Blackfire, I'm thinking, are you meaning like somebody with like actual development technical experience?
Yep.
I think, as far as I know, I think it's just Michael and I at the moment.
Right. Okay.
I believe
Does
that is
Blurs,
correct. Fine.
Does Blurs and Crush have experience? I thought somebody else was also a software dev.
I think the Blurs is a dev as well.
Okay, so we got like three devs.
Any of you guys find the first class?
Yeah. So there's like 3 of us. Are you a dev, Blackfire?
I know basic things. I know Solidity. I coded my own project.
Oh, you coded Galaxy Coin?
Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, I wouldn't go for very complicated stuff, but I can oversee some of the codes, as give feedback and suggestion if needed, but I'm pretty sure that you got it covered.
You could definitely do code reviews if you wanted. I don't know if that would be something if you're interested in doing, like just to get better at working with Solidity and whatnot.
Yeah, any help we could get would be great for like dev stuff. And then I would say maybe we should talk about coming up with like something to actively like try to get more development, like people that have a dev background on board.
Yeah, I think that part will be. I think once we have like more information on how the broker dealer and the crowdfunding regulations are all going to be set up, I think that will be a lot easier to get people on board, because then we'll have like, hey, this is a project that we are working on and here are some problems that need solved.
Exactly. I also want to ask to Jason about the social token distribution, what you are doing. I haven't got any REtoken yet, so I was like, okay, I don't know.
I know, because I have to do it all manual, and that's one of the things that's a big pain point, and been focusing most of my efforts on architecting this relaunch. So it is something that I am committed to doing some airdrops here tonight, and that's one of the things I'm going to prioritize after we get off the Mighty Launch team that's coming up. And I got to actually hop on that here myself, because Mrs. Yonks is telling me I need to join that Zoom and get that one started, because I think it's actually on my account that need to switch over on that. So that being said, because that is going live in 10 minutes. So any other final thoughts on that? Everybody's going to get their airdrops. We're creating more bounties and looking forward to creating more tasks and more REtoken distributions. So that's going to be coming out, Blackfire, and yes, it's coming, sir.
I want to
All right, thanks,
congratulate.
guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to
Thanks,
congratulate
Amy.
Design and the development team. and everybody that participated today. We are moving forward, and we want to thank you. If there's any development type interest that you needed help with design, I do have a lot of Filipino developers that I am familiar with that I could probably invite to help us if we need to. So keep us up to date. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Amy.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm gonna wind this one down and open up the other Zoom. I'm gonna update the. I don't even think I've got the sesh updated with that, so I'm gonna get that done here in just a second, and I'll send a an @ here on the Discord when I update the sesh. I don't even know if it'll let me update it, but it'll be there in Discord momentarily.
So I'm gonna hop off. See you later, guys. Thanks.
Yep.